2 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is BlackWestchester.com presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday, 6 to 8 on INTHEMIXXRADIO.com, giving you real talk for the community since 2014. I am your host, A.J. Woodson. Damon K. Jones is not here. He's on this little hiatus. Of course, we got Dr. Bob and the lovely Lorraine Lopez in the house. But I just want to say a couple of things. I just want to, real quick. So yeah, I'm going to say it because somebody said, ain't we supposed to be boycotting? So I'm going to say something that I haven't said in 2 years. The Giants look good today. Yo, for real. I haven't been able to say that in a very long time. Yo. Like I turned it on for some background music, and they was losing 14-7. And within the next 10 minutes, they scored 17 unanswered points. I was like, yo, the Giants might actually win this one. Then they almost messed up and lost it. It was a tie game, and then they pulled it out. So, there's no chance that they go into the playoffs. But for all those Giant fans that sit in there and be rooting every year, every week, and get your feelings hurt, today was a good day for the Giants. So that's all I wanted to say. Well, Eli showed he still had a little something in his tank, even though he got more sacks this year than he ever had in his career. So shout out to the New York Giants. Yo, I'm going to go over an article. I was talking to Dr. Bob about it earlier. I think Sandy sent it to me. I'm going to go over that later, though. An article that was in the New York Times yesterday, and the title of it is "Who Will Police the Police?" Definitely something we always talk about, and I definitely going to read an excerpt of that. We're going to talk about that. Cool. I think we're just going to kick things off. Y'all are actually on the screen now, and your mic's on. Yeah, see? Okay, so Lorraine.
Yes.
So real quick, we got Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob's in the house. Yeah. We got the lovely Lorraine Lopez in the house.
Yeah.
We have Nesta, Felix, New Flex. Her resume is too thick. Just Nesta is the woman. She just holds it down. That's all I gotta say. Aww. She is the woman.
The multi-talented.
She pulled up in her Good Morning America vehicle. I still love to see
Yo,
that.
right before she was getting ready to start spitting a freestyle. I heard you over there, Nesta.
Wait.
She was, yo.
No. At Andre, where do we go to?
Wherever Nesta brought it down.
And they did the
what was
Maggie's
it?
Maggie's
Yo, Nesta was going in. I was like,
she was doing karaoke to a Lauryn Hill song.
Yeah.
And then at the end spit a dope freestyle.
Just did her verse.
Yo, I was like,
she was
yeah.
Oh, you were there.
Yeah, I was like,
we
yo,
were both there.
She killed it. Yeah, I was like,
I was your hype man. You didn't know that. I was in the back, break that. Crazy.
So yeah. So Nesta be doing her thing. She holds it down. I just wanted to give her a shout out. Also,
It
so
looks cool.
I wanted to talk about a couple of things. So Lorraine, real
Yes.
quick. So, one of the things I don't think we discussed much on air. So, and I want to put it out there because I don't think we addressed it on air.
Well,
So we were waiting for you. Got presented a key from the city of Yonkers, and you didn't have the key anymore. And when Spano came here, we spoke to him about getting the key, and we've been going back and forth. And
Yeah.
they said they're going to get it to you. Had you heard anything back from them yet?
Yeah.
What'd they say?
They said the key broke.
Oh, okay. The key broke.
They
So-
said the key broke and they have to do another one.
Okay, so just for people to understand, what does it mean to get the key to the city? What does that mean? What does that mean? Who they don't give everybody a key to the city.
No, only about 2 handful of people have the key to the city.
So what do they do? What are the criteria? And is there a criteria?
I don't know. I think you have to be like super freaking spectacular.
I mean, basically what it comes down to.
Okay.
I don't know. All I know is that I'm honored because I'm in a group with an astronaut and other, really important people, and to be put in that category, it's an honor. It's like the greatest thing that's ever really happened to me. You know why? Because it shows me that I did something important at one time with my life, and I mattered to people.
You still matter to people.
Thank you.
So it was presented to you by Mayor Amicone.
Mayor
Is that she-
Amicone, yes.
Right. So, long story short, so you lost the key, whatever, and you've been trying to get it back. And
Yeah.
it means a lot to you to get this key back, doesn't it?
Yes, sirree, Bobby.
You would be very happy to get that, right?
Yes.
So
Why?
let me-
No, don't tell me.
So let me give it to you now. Then.
No way.
I'm going to give it to you.
No way.
Oh, yeah. Yo,
Oh, my
Lorraine, take
God.
me.
It says from Mayor Mike Spano. Oh.
Yo, Lorraine, take me to the bank vault, girl. That's where I want to go to. Where the city coffers at? Can we get in there?
So, I just wanted to do that real
Oh,
quick.
that's
So-
beautiful. Hold it up for us. Let
So
us.
yeah, we got to see.
Can
what
we
the
see
key
it?
was.
Yes, of course. How'd you, I'm not even asked.
I'm just saying.
Yo, if I
But-
take it to my
but-
local
but-
locksmith, I could get a copy made.
So,
and,
so I just wanted to say that I've told her
Look at this.
that I was going to make sure
This
That's-
is the key to the city of Yonkers.
I was going to
Beautiful.
make sure that she got her key. And shout out to Akeem Jamal, who I harassed sometimes a couple of times a week.
Thank you.
And shout out to Mayor Spano for keeping his word because, I mean, he ain't have to do it because he ain't the one that assigned it to you, but he was like, yo, we're going to get her key back. So even though it took me harassing him and Lorraine harassing me, I told her, I promised her that I would get her key and I would present it to her on the air when I got it, and that is
Well,
her
thank you, Mayor Spano. Thank you, AJ.
There
And
you
thank
go.
you, Mayor Spano, for,
There you go.
doing this. Because I know he's going to have a lot of people saying, why are you going to give another key to the city?
Yeah, so now you have your key, and you need to put that in someplace very careful.
Instead of going a frame behind the glass.
Yes. Because I don't think they want to hear from me calling them about no more keys. Because I harassed them. I'm not gonna lie. I called. Hey, yo, I left the dude. I was like, yo, my last message to Akeem, and I apologize. I was like, yo, dude, I ain't heard nothing from you. If you ain't gonna do it, just tell me you ain't gonna do it. Don't have me calling you every couple of days. And then I still ain't hear nothing back. So I was like, yo. But
When
it
you
came
get
in the
this
mail-
today?
It came in the mail. When did I tell you about it? Friday? Was it Friday?
Maybe about 2 days ago.
Yeah,
something.
like Friday.
And you've been holding on to this for 2 days?
It's supposed to be a surprise.
Holy crapola.
Yeah, you were supposed to be surprised.
I'm surprised. I'm happy.
You said you wanted your key, so I just.
I got a key
And I
to
said I
the
would-
city.
and I told you I would get it
I'm
for you.
official.
And I
That give
told
me
you.
access to anything I want if I'm friends with you.
Yeah, all I got to do is whip the key out. Yeah, we good.
So, Lorraine has got her key again, and I'm glad that I was able to, be a part of that, of helping make that happen. And you deserve it. And congratulations.
Thank you, dear.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
So that was my big announcement for the show. So now I got a
Nice.
text message from Shanice Coleman, and she said, "Yo." She asked me about something about Friday, and I forgot what she said. She said, "I got a surprise for you, Friday." So I was like, what kind of surprise? I text her back. She said, Nesta. I said, oh, Nesta, that's a good thing. I said, you was asking me if I'm going to be home. You might be trying to subpoena me or something. That's what I told her, right? So she said, no. It's Nesta. It's a good thing. Can she come to the show and she'll tell you in person? And I'm like, sure. So I have no idea what this is.
What the surprise is?
Yes.
Yeah. We were wondering.
Sorry for putting it out my head, not to try to guess, because you probably never going to guess what it was. So I just...
Wait, I know the surprise?
You're supposed to be the one to tell me the surprise. Blame it on Shanice, because Shanice said you had.
Wait.
Was there some communication?
Let me make sure. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
And she said you told her that she couldn't.
Yeah, well, let's check that first. We gotta get clearance on that. We might have to go off air, AJ. It might be like.
I'm trying to see. Maybe she sent me. I just want to make sure I
some
give
cryptocurrency or something.
We've discussed a few things over the coming weeks.
So your purpose for calling, you had a couple of things you wanted to talk about. What did you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, one, when Shanice gives me an order, I must obey. And so we have some cool things coming on, and it could be an alliance that you have with this function that she's excited about. There's a big winter ball that's happening February. I don't know if she's mentioned that to you yet.
No, she didn't tell me anything.
That could be a big part of it. And so your role in that ball, I'm going to let her clarify your role via the message first before I say it the incorrect way. But February 22nd, we have a huge winter ball at the Eastwood Manor. Okay. It's one of New Flex's biggest events. It's going to be an absolutely amazing event. We have a wonderful guest speaker. We're hoping to have Good Morning America there that day. So it's going to be a big deal. And so she's probably really excited about that because she is locking in some of the biggest people. So I guess I'm going to let her text me to make sure I give the message the correct way before I do the wrong thing on air. But it's going to be a big, big deal. And so there's tuxedos. Get it ready. AJ, I know you clean up well.
I don't do the tuxedo thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in one yet, but I'm hoping that can be the event and the invitation to bring it out. And maybe Lorraine could be your date.
Yeah, maybe I can be your date, AJ.
She gotta get that nice gown ready. But I'm
Yo, AJ, tell her not until I get my tutor. we got work. You heard me?
I'm lost.
Okay.
Nah,
I'm lost.
You didn't hear what we said a few
He's
minutes
looking for
ago.
a Spanish tutor. So.
Oh, okay. Because I was sitting here like,
Look, Wanda, wait, Wanda, today. Look, Wanda, I got back my key to the city. Look, sis. I'm just showing my friend.
AJ, I've got a lot of my women's basketball team plugging in here today. I just literally invited all of them, so I'm gonna have a couple cool people checking in today.
Okay, so on the check-in real quick, we have Atif Khalil, Atif K.
Yes,
Coleman, who wrote a very good article today, breaking down some of the multiple lawsuits that the city is under since Mayor Thomas has been in office. He talked, and especially because of things that the police department has done. It goes into stuff that was before Mayor Thomas and payouts that have now been paid out, and then it goes into all the multiple lawsuits and stuff that basically all of this stuff is costing the taxpayers money, and he breaks it all down, and it's on blackwestchester.com right now. So posted it earlier today. It's very good. He's got a couple of really good comments and feedback from it. The people that text me and said it was well written, and they enjoyed it. Also today, I don't know if it happened today, but and I have to. I think Brenda just sent me the text message. So there was a young lady who, I guess she was a female student of Mount Vernon High School, and I believe maybe she was in special ed or something, and she was attacked and raped, and she just won a $28 million lawsuit against Mount Vernon High School, which is the highest payout in the state ever. It was on News 12 earlier.
Really?
Yeah. So.
How long ago was this incident?
I don't know the incident because they said. See, I'm looking for it because she did send me some text messages with the link. I know News 12 covered it. And Atif just sent me an article in the car when I was on my way here. I think he sent me a link, and I'm trying to pull it up so I can give more information. I just know with News 12. You can see it on News 12, but I don't know her name. And I know, and also in the lawsuit, not only was she rewarded the $28 million, but was it the
Settlement.
Mount Vernon School has to is ordered to overhaul their special ed department per the court. Because this was in special, so, and I do, only the part of the news that I got, it was 28 million, and the news to court per News 12 is the largest payout in the school in the state. In history.
What happened? She got sexually assaulted?
I think she was sexually assaulted. First I heard she was jumped. Then it said News 12 said she was sexually assaulted.
A student?
A student. A former student. I don't think she's still a student now. But she's now News 12 had talked they had it on News 12 if you watch live, but they didn't have it posted yet before I got here. So I wanted to pull it up so I could share the link. Also on
Atif already shared the link.
Okay,
he
there you
shared
go.
the
That's
link
the link that he sent with me. Yeah, that's it.
Opening.
She former 14-year-old student, Atif said.
Oh my God, 14 years old.
Yeah. So everybody click on that link, and that's the story. Atif is doing a follow-up story on that as well. So that'll be one of the things that'll be on blackwestchester.com in the next, I guess, 48, 72 hours or whatever. But you can click on the link that Atif posted, and you can get more information about that. But also on the check-in, we have Glenn Butler, always on the check-in. We have Mount Vernon City Court Judge Adrian Armstrong. We have Marvin Church. We have Wanda London.
Hey,
we
Wanda.
have Tracy Cates. We have
Hey, Tracy.
Ken Bright. We have D. Wilson. We have Charlie Khalil. We have A.O. Joints. We have my brother Floyd Myers. What's going on, sir? We have Nancy Sexton King. How are you?
Omi Medina, Charlie Khalil.
Okay, Omi Medina, Charlie. DJ Cameron, Uncle Frank Trulio Jr., he's on the check-in. Chris Breezy's on the check-in. Kenneth Chamberlain Jr. is on the check-in. I think that is all the names that I see. If you see any names that I don't see, please feel free to announce them. So Atif said, congratulations. Lorraine's always getting gifts. LOL, LOL, LOL. D. Wilson said, congrats to you, and it's well deserved.
Thank you.
Tracy gave you the clap emoji. Clap, 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 clap. Nesta shared with everybody. Thank you.
I got the whole women's team in here.
What's up, Queen? Shout out to Vanessa Dixon, Strong Island. She said peace and light.
I got Paige. I got some of my Lady Vikings, the women's basketball team. They're all live together. So
okay. Shout out to the Lady Vikings. And Paige Autumn said, "Hey, Coach." Jason said, "Hey, guys." And Floyd said, "Greetings, team." Wanda London said, "Oh my OMG!" I guess when you held up your key, she was responding to that. So
really?
Yeah, I'm reading the comments. So. I think that was everybody who's tuned in right now that I can see.
She also said hello, AJ.
Oh, thank you. And shout out to everybody who's checking in on In The Mix, because I can't see those names. I only see the people that are on Facebook or that are tuned in on INTHEMIXRADIO.com. That's Mix with 2 X's, INTHEMIXRADIO.com. Welcome all of y'all. And I think we're on other social media forums like Periscope and Instagram or Twitter or one of them other ones. And there's actually, once I figure out how to sign in on here, we'll actually be live on YouTube as well. They have a YouTube app now that you can go live on YouTube. So
that's pretty cool.
We're gonna be live on everything.
Come be freaking international, man.
Yeah. Also, I lost count. We're probably on show like 193, 194. The 200th episode is coming up soon. Got to figure out what we're going to do. Want to have a party like we had for the 100th episode. We had a good time in here. Everybody who was ever involved in the show came through. People came through with some.
You do a two hour campaign.
We did. Yeah,
200 gifts. 200.
Yeah, we did.
200 gifts for Lorraine.
200 gifts for Lorraine.
Yeah, I take the gifts. 200 men, they don't like gifts.
Yeah, you know what? Everybody, you know what? We should do something because I think we
call for sponsorship.
Yeah, we did a little sponsorship for the 100th episode. People, and then we got the shirts and everything. The shirt that you got with the people before politics, keeping it 100, and some other things, and people came through. Priscilla came through with some white Henny, and some people came through with some cupcakes and some other things, and we had a party in here. It was fun.
Word, the hen dog came through with the dog.
The white Henny.
White Henny?
White Henny.
Oh, that overproof.
She had the white Henny that you can't get in the States, and then she had the regular one. Yeah, we were partying in here that night. Yes, we were having. Matter of fact, we ended with we had so many people in here. We had the kids from the Save Our City, Unite Our City. The kid that did that music, the group, all of them. They were all, that whole back wall was full of them to the point that one of them kicked the plug by mistake, and
everything went off.
Yeah, we went off like because we was on for 3 hours that day, and we ended up. I think we'd only did 2 hours and 45 minutes, and he kicked the main plug that shut down. It just cut everything off, and it just like we went off with a blast. So, but it was fun though. But it was fun though.
It's funny.
Let everyone hear me. Wanda, is that you saying you can't hear me?
No, let everyone hear you. She said go big because you said you was gonna go on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's right. We gonna go everywhere. We going everywhere. I've been sitting around with Bob and bothering Bob and Damon lately. You know what I'm saying? We doing some recalculating, some restructuring to take Black Westchester to the next level in 2019. You know, we've done a lot in these 4 years plus, and you know, we don't want to sit on our laurels. We want to take it to the next level. So Bob is the mad scientist, Mr. Organizational. He's gonna be putting some organizational stuff together, some more structure. And he working on some things, and you know, he's always cooking something up in the lab. He working on a few things, and you know, we're just gonna go to the next level. The December issue is coming out soon. Small Black Business Edition, highlighting a lot of the black businesses in Westchester and the surrounding areas. There is still time to advertise, and you basically have about 48 hours if you're trying to advertise in that issue. We still have spaces for you, so feel free to holla, blackwestchester@gmail.com. Bob, you have a look on your face like you want to say something.
No, I was going to ask if you would share with our listeners the inspiration for this month's December special edition.
Well, I mean, it was twofold. Like, it was coming up. You kept hearing all the things about Saturday Saturday after Thanksgiving is Small Business Saturday. So I was like, oh yeah. You know, it's a lot of small businesses that don't advertise because they can't like get full page ads. They see the full page price. So I was like, you know, the quarter page ad is $250. So, you know, for all the small businesses and celebrating Small Business Saturday, we're gonna have the quarter page ads for $200. Then somehow, you know, because I always got ideas. I'm like, yeah, I could do businesses and do all the business. I did not know how much work it was going to be to gather. And then I asked everybody to tell me their favorite business, black business in Westchester. And I found out about businesses that I'm glad that did, because the businesses I didn't know.
And a few that you did.
There was a few that I did, but I mean, you know,
everyone who suggested Cupcake Cutie, we want to thank you.
Well, yeah, of course, we got at least 10 people. At least 10 people reminded me about Cupcake Cutie, and at least 5 people wanted to talk about the juice bar. Well, about 5 people wanted to write about the juice bar in Yonkers, and at least 10 people was going to write about Cupcake Cutie. Yeah. So, but now we got a good array of businesses throughout the county. I got some black boutiques and some professional services, which I think is important because we don't see those accountants and stuff like that. We usually go out of our community for those kind of services, and of course there's toothpaste spread called the Urban Spoon, because I can't cover all the restaurants, but I tried to capture some of the best ones and a couple of new ones, and then you got the healthy joints, where you got like Jolo and Vegetarian Spot and Nourishell and the Juice Bar, Abundant Life in Mount Vernon. I got all of them on one page.
Kathleen Gleason just checked in.
Caitlin, how you doing? What's
hey,
going
Caitlin,
on?
how are you?
Oh, so Caitlin, you texted me and said, "Who's on the show?" Nesta. I forgot. I don't think I texted you back.
She's my pageant host and my life host.
Oh no,
That's right, because I've actually
it done.
attended a couple of the New Flex fundraisers, and Caitlin has always been there.
holds
Yes,
it down,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Shout out to Kevin Bunch. He said, "What's up, people listening and supporting?"
Yes, Kev.
Caitlin said, "Hey guys, love Nesta and what she does. So do we." Lynn Woodley. Wanda London, thank you very much. She said, "Black Westchester CNN is all I listen to."
We are in quite good company, I have to say.
She said, "You guys put out the truth. People should listen." Thank you very much. Definitely. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And that's coming from a superstar.
Yes. She holds it down. And we've got a lot of people that hold it down that listen to the show. Like, cause I like, Judge Adrian Armstrong. I think he listens every week. Like,
Right.
not every week, every week. And he sometimes contributes to the paper, and even had his daughter even wrote an article or two for the paper. I think she's in college now. She was just getting in college, and she had some stuff she wanted to say. So a couple people like Charles Stern, his daughter actually wrote a couple of things for on politics or for the paper, which is what I want to get. I want to get a lot more of the youth because I'm 50ish. I'm in the 50 mode, so it's I can write about the youth. I'm not, I'm no longer the youth though. At some point, I got to realize that, like, I'm no longer the youth. And sometimes, you need to hear their point of view, and hopefully, we're going to get a lot more of that with some college students and stuff. We're going to get more.
You had
of
my
the
niece;
youth.
she was a college student. She
Right. But I mean, as a regular, covering politics from their perspective, covering more team sports, high school sports and college sports is big. Covering certain things. Because, a lot of the issues we talk about from our perspective, but, how it affects them and their perception of it is very important, especially since they are the future. And you know what I'm saying? So I'm still glad, I have to say it again, I know the election is over, but the response from young people, millennials, and there's another thing now after the millennials. I don't know, they call it that.
Generation X.
No, that's before.
There's another one
We
after
all
that.
forget.
And I can't remember. And Bill
Newbies.
Bill Mars, he could remember it. He called him Generation Instagram. That's what he's calling him. Because he couldn't remember what they were called. So he was called. So that's all I got in my head now is Generation Instagram. But that's who came out strongly in this election. While the show was
Generation Z. There we go. Thank you, Paige.
Okay, there you go.
Peg. I'm sorry, Peg. Thank you, Peg.
Yeah.
Oh, Peg, she said X, she said?
Generation Z.
Oh, Z.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes. What age group is Generation Z? They are, Generation Z is 1995.
A lot
Right,
younger than me.
the
That's all I
youngest
can
age
say.
today.
Because millennial only goes up to 94, 95, right?
Yeah.
And it
What
was
what are we? Us
We're
50-year-olds.
We're
we're
extennial. No,
we're
you guys,
the baby boomers.
you're
or
baby
something.
bust. No.
We're not
No,
boomers
no.
either.
So
We
baby
don't fall
boomers
into-
are
No,
the
we don't
generation
fall
that's-
into boomers.
is everyone who was born in the immediate aftermath of World War II, from about 1945 to about 1960, is referred to as the baby boom.
Okay, so we're whatever that is comes
No,
after
we're
that.
66
We're
and 65.
Whatever came after that, that's what we are.
I'm Generation X. Okay, let me just remember mine.
Generation Next.
X.
We don't
In fact,
we don't
I
have a
one
title,
more year
AJ.
I'll be expired after next week when I turn 39.
So up to 64. Peg Moore.
Peg Moriallo.
She said, "Are the boomers? What election? The orange one? I was talking about the midterm election. I wasn't talking about the 2016.
Oh.
But the 20. If you watch the trends, that they're going to be needed in 2020 because that's going to be a very important election, and their being involved is what's going to empower a lot more of their peers to get involved. Like, we can constantly tell the young people they need to do it, but they're going to be inspired more by their peers doing it and coming out, because we're going to need all of them out there. Wanda, I still want to know, what is the 50s? Yeah, what is after 64?
What is 65 and 66, Wanda? Can you figure that out?
65 up to.
Oh, Wanda's trying to figure it out herself.
Right, she just said.
She said not
what?
orange.
Yeah. So So, Bob, what have you been up to? I know it's a couple of weeks. You've been in the lab cooking up some stuff. What you been up to?
Well,
You're Generation X.
I'm proud to
You're
say
Generation
because
X, 65 to 1980 is Generation X.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
so I'm proud to share with
I'm gonna pull
you.
out my Malcolm X medallion.
So we're
next time
both
we're on the
Generation
show,
X,
Generation
yeah.
X. DMX thing.
Like,
X,
yeah, Malcolm. No, I mean my generation.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So as you know from our personal conversations, AJ, because you're my man and we talk all the time about the politics and my underlying philosophy, I think that there's a very pressing need for strengthening our organizational infrastructure. And to that end, in the past couple of weeks, I'm proud to announce that I finished a major component of this database that I've been telling you about. I'm in the process of constructing a database based on data from the U.S. Census Bureau that takes as the core of its focus over 17,000 discrete locations here in the United States where at least one black resident lives. And then I've calculated the population and percentage of people of color and Latinos and whites and different groups. And so there was some technical stuff that I had to work out. So I got that done, I'm happy to say. Now, one thing I also did while I was not here last week, and I did want to say this, I had the honor of giving the keynote address for a scholarship luncheon hosted by one of the local Masonic lodges here in the city of Yonkers.
Awesome.
And yeah.
Warburton?
Yeah, it's the guy. So it's Mr. Harold McCoy Sr.
Okay.
I don't know the name of the
Is it
particular.
on Warburton?
I'm just not sure.
That would be it.
Because I think we drop off papers. I know
Because
where
there's
it
one
is.
on North Broadway and one on Warburton.
I know we drop off papers to the one on Warburton.
I must confess I'm a little uncertain. One of the reasons the invitation was extended to me is because Mr. McCoy and his son are part of my extended family.
Okay.
And so, but the theme of the show was from scholar to, the keynote address was from scholar to scholarship. What are the keys to academic success? And one of the things that I point out is even though I'm a man of science, I gave the answer that you'd most commonly find cited by, the man of religion, woman of religion, faith. And as I said, faith is focus, applied intelligence, transformed into heroism.
Oh, there you go.
So that was my.
I've never heard of that, even though
He made that up.
I did.
He said the answer commonly applied by a person of faith.
Yeah.
By a religious person, I mean that's supposed to be one of the differences between a religious person
Oh, the
and a
actual
science
word. Oh,
and a
not
man
the
of science.
acronym, just the actual word.
The
Okay.
actual word.
you cannot-
But he wanted to stand for something. So
Yeah,
he,
so
yeah.
that was
did.
my
He
thing.
gave every letter.
So AJ knows 'cause I must have been rather tickled last week when I said it to him a couple of times.
Yes.
Focus, adaptive intelligence, transformed into heroism. And that's how I said it, and y'all will forgive me. You can see why I might laugh and want to say that to y'all. But that's kind of it. After that, I was spent. Unfortunately, I did have a nice Thanksgiving holiday, but unfortunately, my grandfather, who's quite elderly at this point, he's about 93, 94, he fell ill Thanksgiving morning. My family and I spent much of the day in the hospital just to make sure he was all right.
How is he now?
He is fine.
Okay.
It was a minor ailment, but it was just had to spend the day mainly at the hospital. I did get a chance to break bread with my man Mike Holt and his family.
Shout out to Mike Holt.
Yeah, shout out to Mike, Kev, and the whole Holt family. And so that's what I was doing, man. I appreciate asking.
No doubt. And you said the censor. Are you part of
yes.
that advisory board?
Yes.
For the county?
Yes.
So yes, and I
I
also
wanted to say congratulations.
did submit my application because you have to submit an application to be on the county committees and take a pledge, So I did submit it and had some initial correspondence with representatives from the county, and I'm happy to report that the county is already making plans are underway to get the complete count committee up and operating. Again, everyone here, I'm sure, and our listeners, I'm sure, appreciate the importance of having a full, accurate count of all Westchester County residents, whether they be citizens or not.
Yeah.
Much of
so
our
important.
well-being depends on this, and so I wanted to make sure that I was a part of that effort. That's how important I think it is.
Like the city of Yonkers, every time we do the census, we fall short of the 200,000 mark.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like 194,000 now.
Mm-hmm.
And if we were to get the 200,000 mark, so much more federal funding will be coming.
Right.
You know, so it really is important.
So that's what's up. So you involved in that, and Damon's involved in the Criminal Justice Reform Advisory Board, or whatever that
Right.
advisory board is, dealing with criminal justice reform and all that. That's a beautiful thing.
And I want to say to the listeners, that really is a testament to the full effort that's been made by activists, organizers, everyday citizens in the city of Mount Vernon and throughout Westchester who have demanded greater accountability from our elected officers. And I think one of the fruits that this movement has yielded is a recognition that we need to have some channels, mechanisms for input. So I encourage, everyone to join with us and to staff these committees.
Right, because when I got the email, I sent it out to everybody.
This is part of the way that the work, the business of Westchester gets done.
Also, shout out to Westchester County Department of Corrections First Deputy Louis Molina.
Yeah,
He is on New York State Attorney General elect Letitia Tish James transition team. That's very important. And
yes, that's quite an honor.
And as her co-chair, her co-chairs on the committee include former U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch and former New York State Attorney General Bob Abrams. So, that's a powerful, I think that's one of the most important things when you get into office. Like, people say whether they're qualified and all that. Putting the qualified people around you. You know what I'm saying? Because there's nobody going into any of these things knowing everything. You know what I'm saying? But to be effective, you need people like Loretta Lynch was that. You know what I'm saying? She was holding it down. You know what I mean? And the list of who she picked. I don't have the list in front of me, but there's a long list of people with various different backgrounds and expertise, and it made me feel good. Like, at least, she put some strong people around her for the transition. That made me, some kind of hope that some stuff gonna get done.
I mean, amongst some of the names that I thought were noteworthy were representatives from our legal advocacy community, including, I believe, the president of the Center of Constitutional Rights, which is one of the foremost sort of left legal advocacy organizations, and also I think New York State Attorney under Attorneys Under Law. I think the organization that played a lead role in the lawsuit in Georgia, looking to challenge the voting procedures that have been used down there. Oh, so those are other figures that I noticed.
So Georgia, I don't think it came up yet. Y'all need to go out in this election, because they're still electing for the state Secretary of State.
Right.
And as you've seen in Georgia, that's a very important person, because that person runs the Board of Elections and dictated how what votes were not going to count, and it was a lot of voter suppression. So y'all need to get out in full force to get a qualified person in there. So Lorraine, what have you been up to?
I'm thinking.
I seen Lorraine just went back to the key.
Can I feel it?
I have to rearrange my whole house now.
Uh-oh.
Because I
This
got
has been the centerpiece?
one kid.
Word.
Well, that's what's up.
No, my sister Betsy's in the hospital.
Yes.
So I had niece fly up from Florida. I had some visitors, so I've been spending a little bit of time with the family, of course, with my grandson. With my grandson, Mason. Hi, Shanice.
Hi, guys.
Oh, okay.
Shanice is
Come on in.
here.
No, I've been texting you. I was trying to figure out what I was supposed to say.
Come
Okay,
on
let's
in.
go. Nesta, you want to go out first? You could. They're gonna pow out for a second.
Okay.
You were dressed the same.
Okay.
Different colors, but dressed the same. Look.
I see.
See.
You know what? But I can't
at
speak
that.
Spanish though.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. I'm going to hook you up with that.
Oh, all right. There we go.
I'm going to get you a translator.
Okay. You know, the only thing I learned, and I'm going to be honest, the only thing I learned in Spanish class, La muchacha es bonita.
That's all you needed.
Because there was this girl that couldn't speak much Spanish. It was the fly girl in school, and I just had to know how to hit on her.
You just,
But you know what Spanish
But I'm saying
in
no.
that now.
I said in Spanish class in school. Oh. That's the only thing that I retained from Spanish class. I got an A in that class, but that's the only thing I retained from that class. So,
all right,
yeah.
I got you.
Shout out to Ann McDermott. She said, "Good evening, everybody."
Hey, Ann, what's happening?
Wanda said Harold McCoy. That's the name that you said.
Harold McCoy Sr. and Jr.
She knows him.
Shout out to James Cook. Always tuned in. What's going on, sir? It's not my phone beeping.
No, that's this phone.
Shout out to Stephen Lewis from the Atlantic Star family, Greenberg.
Secret love.
Yeah. That's the song. Yes, that is the song.
That's how we know you a Generation X. Yeah, that's a way back joint right there.
No doubt.
Yo, I picked up some pasteles today. You don't know what you're missing.
Okay.
It's so good. Some good stuff. You put a little bit of ketchup, some hot sauce on it, and it's over the moon. Only thing, it takes an hour and a half to cook, so I'm going to have to leave a little bit early today.
Okay. Well, she got her key. She good now.
She like
anyway. She ain't even with us no more. She got
like,
set.
Yeah. You don't understand it. Me
she opened up the space-time continuum portal with that.
Word. So that's what's up, man. You know, just wanted to give everybody their props. You know, everybody's doing something. Everybody's doing. Oh, so I was asked to speak at. I was invited to Westchester Community College. They're having some Black History program. I got to go back to the email of what the event is called. But they asked me to be their like a guest speaker or something like that.
Right.
So
it's a Black History program that's going to be focusing on the theme of migration.
Okay.
So I think they're going to have some.
Wow.
Yeah. So
and so you will give the keynote address.
Can you rewind
for
that? I heard something about Black history. I would like to hear that.
I Westchester Community College has contacted me.
That's why I said
and they asked me to be. They asked me to be the keynote speaker for the Black History program that they're doing. So
that's interesting.
I will be doing something like that. I'm not sure what I'm going to be speaking.
You don't know the date yet, do you?
So I do have. I can send you. I have an email. I can tell you in my email. I don't retain it in my. I sent it to everybody.
Beautiful queen.
So I wanted to, now while you're here, I'm talking about everybody else. You do so much. Just tell everybody, for the people that don't know who you are, what you do, your organization.
Okay.
Just break it down for everybody.
So I'm Nesta Felix. I'm the executive director of New Flex Youth Programs. It's a mentoring program and sports program in Mount Vernon. It actually mentors through sports and performing programs. And so we've been really fortunate to have done just a lot in Westchester and in New York through, particularly through basketball, but through just programming. We've been so blessed to have formed some excellent alliances with programs such as Backyard Sports. In the city of Mount Vernon, we've done some really awesome things over the years, even on the board of New York City and the Bronx. And, you know, we've been known the last 2 years because we had an awesome appearance on Good Morning America through some of the work we were doing, and so that's kind of jumped the program out. But many of our local supporters in Mount Vernon have just really done some great things with New Flex, and we have an awesome board team that's actually, some of them are here today. And so, you know, Shanice Coleman is here, and Johnny Bunting, he's been one of our directors in the program with our boys and just mentoring through a lot of our programs. So New Flex has just been so fortunate. It's taken a lot of work, but we our model is we set up in programs, particularly school districts, and we set up after-school programs, and the children are required to attend mentoring program and summer trips and just Black History programs. It's just such an array of things, and we aim to supplement some of the things that may be lacking in certain districts, and not through any blame of anyone else, but just through structural issues.
Picking up the slack.
So we've done it, and so we've gotten some awesome support from the community. And we just continue to build. We do need the community support ongoing. I've actually formed some great alliances even at Iona and Westchester Community College, where I currently coach the women's basketball team. Wherever we're able to put our feet, they support New Flex and the mission, and so we're excited. We're very, very excited about being able to do that. AJ's also, you've been a great supporter. Damon, everyone that we come in contact with jumps on board and supports, and you know, particularly our young boys. We have a lot of them in our programs, and so the faces that come in and out of Mount Vernon and are able to show them through what we do. Excellent. So thanks for having us here. It was always exciting to be here, and I'm so glad that my buddies are here now to just kind of carry on. Oh, and so the announcement I was supposed to make that I did not want to make incorrectly, because so this year, again, we're featuring our first ever winter ball, and so that's through the efforts of some of the board. Shanice is really carrying on this mission, and a great team of some other people in Mount Vernon. But we have some awesome honorees, and so every week we're unveiling one of the honorees, and we have a list of them. We can't wait to contact them. So Black Westchester and AJ happens to be the first one that we're coming in contact with. So we're so excited, and what happens is, I was like, are we honoring AJ the man? Because I love the man, AJ Woodson. So I was like, oh, we doing Black Westchester, and so, and People Before Politics. So we're doing People Before Politics, and the work that the radio has been doing in the paper, we're honoring them as one of our signature and key pivotal resources in Westchester. The movement that they have made has been absolutely outstanding. And so they've been selected by the committee as one of our honorees this year. This year we're doing a huge Black History movement, and so each table is going to signify a major mogul in Black history, and so it would be absolutely, it would make sense to have selected Black Westchester. So I guess you guys are also part of that honor, and so we're excited. I mean, I've been following. Not just because New Flex has appeared in the paper a few times, but but you know, AJ's always we're kind of like the charity program of, and there's quite a few actually that they're indebted to Black Westchester because it's carried on the message, and so you know, we support in our little way, and then AJ supports us in a mega way, and he goes, you know, what do we have? And he's at our annual fundraiser wherever he can be, so we owe him a lot, and Westchester owes him a lot. This movement is great. And so we're excited. So we want to officially let you know that you're an honoree, and Black Westchester and the work you're doing is excellent. And thank you, because our children need to see this at the forefront of what's happening.
Wow.
So this is really amazing. And
well,
good for you, AJ.
I guess I'll give myself an applause.
Is this where the applause can we? Ours is actually better.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
Well,
you.
we appreciate it, and I'm sure that Lorraine, myself, and Damon, and everyone else who's been associated with Black Westchester over the past couple of years can attest to the yeoman effort that AJ in particular makes every month and every week to make sure that we have the best information about the most important stories, both in the city of Mount Vernon and throughout Westchester. And I have to say, because AJ is my man, and AJ and I have a very close working partnership, and so I not only see the highs, but I also see the lows. We struggle together, and as Nestor and everyone else can attest, so many of these entrepreneurial efforts that are started are labors of love. And I want everyone to know that AJ is working overtime to try to return to the city of Mount Vernon the kind of love and care it needs, and Westchester more broadly, the kind of love and care that it needs, by having accurate reportage of what is going on. And I thank so much New Flex for honoring the brother, because we need that kind of recognition if we're going to continue to on the march.
Dr. Bob, I just want to piggyback on that overtime thing. I don't know any man that hits me up at 3 in the morning, at 2:45, and most people are not up when I'm up. And AJ always seems to be typing away in the morning. I'm like, AJ, when are you sleeping? So he actually beat me. I woke up at 6 this morning, and I had gotten a message from him at 2:45. So I was kind of late responding.
Most people may not know this, but for writers, for those who write, y'all will know that very frequently when you get the writing bug, you got to kind of let your momentum take you. And I know that pretty much for the second half of every month, AJ is on a 24-hour-a-day cycle where he is getting he's doing more work than rest. And I know, because me and AJ, especially during those hours, will also communicate at what people would consider to be unusual hours, because he's up working Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that mic's not on. So you gotta
can
go
we-
where you gotta go. Where
Or do you want me to
Just
turn her
swing
mic
it,
on
just
for her?
swing it.
Well, she's not in the camera
Okay.
either. Okay.
Also, Nestor, you forgot to tell them the date is February the 22nd is Black History Month. And we already got confirmation DJ Tri-State Jericho. is
Jericho,
gonna
the
be
voice of Westchester,
our DJ.
who has not showed up on Black Westchester yet.
I think we talked about with that last time.
And also, heads up, you have to wear tuxedos. It's a ball. Men are
Yes,
wearing
yes.
tuxedos and women are wearing gowns.
So AJ, there's no getting
Where
around
is
it.
where at? Where
It's
at?
at Eastwood Manor in the Bronx.
Okay.
And you can tell people the tickets are $75. And
Nope.
it's for 5 hours. It's from 7 to 12.
Okay.
Bar.
Thank you very much. I just want to read a couple of
Open
names.
bar.
Don't-
Open bar.
oh, that's what's up.
That'll help. Yeah,
Shout
let's,
out
put,
to
let's
Dawn
include that.
Dobbs, Rotunda Tate, Charles Stern, Wanda London said congratulations. Shout out to my homeboy Jeff Ford. Tracy Kate said congratulations. Damon just joined on. Say his daughter's first name. I don't want to mess it up.
Taina.
Yes, she's on the check-in.
Hi,
Damon,
Taina.
Damon said exactly. And Wanda said, and AJ was in Georgia pushing for the people. Yeah, I was out there for 2 weeks pushing for Stacey Abrams and trying to educate people on all that voter suppression going on. I was so surprised that I was educating the people like that. I was telling them something that they didn't know for real, like
Right.
But I was out there making Facebook Live videos, Morehouse, homecoming. I was all over Atlanta for them 2 weeks. So and 3-4 people have asked me when. So I did pull up the email. So this thing at Westchester Community College, on behalf of the Black History Month Committee, we would like to invite you to our kickoff event Wednesday, February 6th, the day after my birthday, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at our main campus in Valhalla. Blah 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 blah. We will produce. I'm trying to get to the point where what they want me to do. We would like you to cover all the events for Black Westchester and blah blah blah. We will also be honored to have you as our guest speaker to tell your story about your professional journey as editor-in-chief of the professional Black Westchester magazine.
Beautiful.
So again, that is for everybody who asks me, it is Wednesday, February 6th. It's during the day, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So I know Bob said he might be going. Damon said he's
No, I'm going to come. I'm
yeah,
going to
Damon's
let my
going to be
class on.
videotaping it or whatever.
I'll be
And everybody else who wanted to come through. Yes.
I wanted to add to listeners that they will be following the theme that has been announced by the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, and that is important because that is one of the first professional Black historical organizations that was established by Carter G. Woodson, the
My
so-called
uncle.
father of. Yes,
Yes,
that's
yes.
right,
He
Uncle
don't-
Woodson.
He don't know it though. Yeah, that's my uncle. Yeah.
What was that? The Association for the American African Life and History?
Yes, and that was a historical society that was started by Carter G. Woodson, so it's quite an honor.
I just want to say I'm humbled by all of that. All of your words, I greatly appreciate all of y'all. Y'all have no idea. Some of y'all do. It's definitely a labor of love. Several people in this room definitely hear me when I have my frustration venting points. Lorraine.
Yes.
Lorraine.
I know.
Definitely hears me vent. As Bob and Damon, Andre caught a little bit of it. Marvin Church caught a little bit the other day. So I appreciate everything, but again, even with all the hard work, it wouldn't be possible without all the people who contribute. I constantly name all of y'all all the time, and all of the ones that don't name. There are so many people behind the scenes that continue to contribute, whether continuously or periodically, to help this whole thing move. And also shout out to all the advertisers, because that's the only way we keep it free for the people. And we don't charge for the paper or nothing or none of that stuff, because I feel like when you give information, one of the things I had when I used to have this conversation with Ernie Davis, he used to always say, "Yeah, well, I got a robocall." I was like, "Yo, that robocall is not reaching me. I'm on 7th Avenue. That is not reaching nobody on my block. That robocall, half the people don't even got a house phone. That robocall ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? The information does not reach down to the community.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem when stuff happens. And even like the thing with Bob was talking about the committee, when that list comes out, that list doesn't come to us. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I sent it out. And I try to always tell them when there's jobs, especially good jobs, I try to put all that information out that we normally don't get. The problem with charging, because people say, well, you should charge. I mean, if we charge 50 cents, there's a lot of people who wouldn't get the information that they need to get. And it's for them. You know what I'm saying? That's what we do it for. To get that word out, to be the voice of the voiceless, to get the word out to those who are not getting the word, to get the information to them. And, you know, it's a struggle, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, that's why we do what we do. We do it for the people, you know what I'm saying? So I thank everybody for that has written stuff or said stuff today, and thank you for the honor. I greatly appreciate that, and thank you for WCC. Which me and Bob will be meeting with them in like a week or so about something else.
Right.
Don't forget some of my office when you guys are up there.
Oh well, thanks for the invitation. We'll be sure to take you up on it.
Absolutely. No, I didn't know that you were up there.
My office in the athletic building. I'm
Do
the women's basketball coach.
Do they have like a?
So you coach at Iona and at what?
I played at Iona. I went to Iona.
Okay.
And so but I coach at WCC.
You're currently coaching.
Well, is there a common area where they keep papers and stuff? Like I can give you papers and you can put them. Because I've been trying to get somebody to bring papers to the.
You mean like student life
center?
Yeah, it's a student life
so
center.
They can just put a stack of papers and the students can get them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that definitely.
Absolutely. And you can actually, the athletic building also has a stack where they put their papers. So you can actually put them in
that's what I need to know where that is, and we didn't because in 2019 I want to make sure that we're in all the colleges, the Iona, all the colleges. Just talked to somebody in Manhattanville. Somebody's actually taking the paper to Mercy now. I've been talking to Purchase, you know, the Purchase. They've actually did some advertising and Pace Law School. I was talking to them, so we're trying to get students involved too. You know, a lot of these people to write, because they're gonna come up with issues and all this stuff that's coming on that I'm not even thinking about right now. You know what I'm saying? That's very important. And any movement, my pastor used to always say at church, any church that doesn't have a youth movement is a dead church. Because older people eventually just gonna die. You know what I'm saying? So like for any movement to go, I mean, I ain't trying to be funny, but I mean seriously, like, you know what I mean? But if you don't embrace the youth,
you got to keep it fresh.
You know, if you don't embrace the youth and empower them, they're going to take over. You know what I'm saying? One of my problems, and I've said it to her, so I will say it on the air. I believe Maureen Walker should not have run. I think her deputy, Javon Box Hill, that's his name, was very capable of doing the job and has filled in for her. And I think she should have backed him. And he probably would be our new controller. You know, we have to.
Yeah, but that's a common issue in politics and leadership.
And when Ernie Davis said he was going to run again in the last election, and I've had this conversation with him, my problem in his announcement was the reason he was going to run was because there was no one qualified to take his place. And I feel if you've been a mayor of a city, and again, I've said this to him, for 16 years over a 20-year period, and you haven't empowered anybody under them, that's not the people under you that failed. That's you. That's a testament to your leadership.
Yeah, it's a law of legacy. It's like one of the 21 laws of leadership. You have to leave a legacy. You have to empower.
That's why I work so hard with Atif. Atif is young, and he's the future of what we're doing, whatever this looks like. And you know what I'm saying? That's why, you know, he reminds me of me, you know, when I was that age, and I wasn't trying to do none of this when I was that age. So I try to empower him as much as possible. We butt heads all the time. But that's only because I love the brother, and I want to bring out the best in him, and I want him to go farther than I've ever gone, you know, and he can do that. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, and I had people that really, the only reason I'm here is because they rode me like, I don't know what they saw in me that nobody else saw. When people say people told him, give up on that dude, he ain't worth it, and they wrote me off. There was people that never gave up on me and always empowered me and always pulled me to the side and wasn't afraid. I always talk about the brother who was the security guard at the high school. I always bring the story up. I was cutting school. I cut school 3-4 days in a row. Dude rode his bike to my house on Monday Lane, 11th Avenue. And he didn't even live in that, you know, right. It wasn't like I was around the corner from him or nothing. And he pulled me out. First, he honored me by he didn't take it to my dad. He made me come outside. We went to the laundromat on the side. He basically told me, you effing up, this, that, and the other, and you need to get your together. And you know what I'm saying? He wrote me in, And then, you know what? And he said, Joe, you need to bring your butt to school. And I was in school that next day because he gave it out. I mean, for real, like, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to hear. I was going through whatever I was going through. You know, when you're that age, you're going through whatever you're going through, trying to find yourself and all that other stuff. My grandfather had died and all this stuff. And I was going through my parents had got divorced. I was going through all kinds of stuff. So that was my excuses anyway at the time. But cats rode me and made sure it never gave up on me. When I was hanging out 4th Street Playground, and they was like, yo, there'd be a bunch of us, and they pulled me out of that crowd, be like, you don't belong out here with the rest. You know what I'm saying? Like, they made me. So we got to do, I always say, they say the youth is out of control right now. If the youth is out of control, it's not the youth failing us, it's us failing the youth. Because a lot of us wouldn't be here if there wasn't people like that. And now we're those that's supposed to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? So we need to do that. And anyway, that's my little 2 cents. I always say that. But Bob, you about to say something?
No, I was going to ask. I see that we have a new visitor, new guest on the set, at least someone who I haven't personally met before. And I didn't want to continue without giving him the respect of
me. I was definitely gonna do that. You got a mic, yeah. Say
yes, that is you, brother.
You.
We were so enthusiastic about talking everything else, man.
We were waiting.
Yeah. And we kind of, we realized, we should have done this a few minutes ago. So
that's okay. I was a fly on the wall for a second.
Okay, brother.
My name is Johnny Bunting Jr. I was with New Flex too.
Okay.
We come deep.
Yeah, we come deep. But I also have my own things that I pursue. I'm the owner of Platinum Hair Car Wash in Mount Vernon, New York.
Okay.
I have an online store called Fragrance by Lilia.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of novels that I wrote while I was in prison. I served almost 26 years.
I see.
I've been on the radio the past few weeks with Ernie Davis because he likes my story.
Right.
Gotcha. I need
you
to make sure you talk in the mic. So I want to make sure.
Sorry about
pull
that.
It up to you. Yeah. I want people to hear you.
What I've been doing with New Flex on my own in my spare time, like I talk to kids, I try to empower them, and I say try because I don't always succeed. I don't like using the word try, but try is a good word for what I'm doing. I have my own family that I also look to inspire, adults as well as children, because one thing that I've acknowledged is that we are here to uplift our youth, but some of our adults need saving also.
Absolutely.
Because if I can teach you something that can help you to teach the youth, then I instilled something in you, because you are all role models, whether you acknowledge it or not. So if I can help to uplift some of the fallen soldiers, if you will, I will be able to empower them to help in this struggle in teaching the children also. Because like you were saying, the kids are out of control is because we are failing. I wasn't on the scene, but now I am. So I have some work to put in.
Got you.
I just want to commend. I want to commend him on everything he's doing. I wrote a story that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from. That as it still is on the cover, it's on the front page of the website. I think still from prison to platinum.
So
that's his story. Everybody needs to read that. It's blackwestchester.com. That's a very powerful story. I still keep that in the spotlight part in the middle because people need to read that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always getting new readers and people that have never seen it before.
Right.
And I want everybody to see that story because, that wasn't the end. You didn't let that be the end of your story.
Of course
You
not.
know what I'm saying? But
Right.
a lot of people, I can't do it because of this or this happened, and you know what I'm saying. And then there's some people that ain't been through half of what you've been through that got that reasons why. And I want people to be like, if he been through all that and he's doing that, I could do it too.
And AJ,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
he's quite modest, I think, because he's one of I met him about 3.5 years ago, and honestly, he is the reason no one in this world should fail. And he says he's trying, but he is actually empowering.
Doing.
No one in 3.5 years. This man came out. Someone introduced him. A parent of mine introduced him. He was the best friend of a parent of mine, and he brought me to him. And it goes, Coach, can you do something with him? And I was like, okay, I think I can. and I didn't know. Like I work with
Everybody
young people,
got some
but I
potential.
work with
Why
young,
we do something with
but
them?
I work with young people. I mean, we work with everyone, but you know, so the undertaking, I didn't know, but he just kind of jumped right in and started mentoring, and just every program that the community had, he was a part of it. And I mean, in that amount of time, got married, had a child, got a name in the community, bought a car wash. I mean, it's just so I can't even explain. And so when you look at someone like this and you go, we have people out here who've had a full life.
Right.
Full life and have wasted it. And he's just come out with this power, this hunger, and it's so amazing to be around it. And so he's also been announced as one of our honorees for this coming ceremony. And he's going to be one of our Nelson Mandela Award, because Nelson Mandela actually, you know, he did about 27 years.
Right.
And so here he is, you know, reliving life again.
From prison to
and
president.
just absolutely
From
amazing.
prison to president, yeah.
So we're excited. I said, I know.
He said, well, I'll think about that one.
Yeah, so we got some greatness in Westchester, and it's all different stories. And so we're excited to be around it and to be honoring it. But he is an excellent man, and we're really proud of you, Johnny Bunting. And we know that
absolutely.
your story is even greater. It's not even done.
No, and you know, writing that story, that was the reason we started Black Westchester, because that might not necessarily have been a story that News 12 or, and no disrespect to any of them, that might cover right away. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we had to be that voice to cover those, because there's various stories like that. There's other people who got stories like that, you know, on different levels, and to showcase those stories, to show the community. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, there's you know, the media coverage of the black people, especially the black man. You know what I mean? We all thugs and this and that, and you know, that's all we are. You know what I'm saying? You don't see, and I wanted people to see that, and it was inspiring to write the story. That's why, you know,
a lot of people. News 12 did come. A lot of people.
And I'm not saying, and I wasn't knocking it, but I'm saying a lot of times they don't tell our stories.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's
when they're great ones.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe that because you have a crime or conviction, that the public won't forgive or embrace you. And you have some people that won't. But you have a lot of people that will. I've had people seeing the Black Westchester. I actually have it on my board right there. When I come to the office, it's right there. Put it up. People come up to me, they say something. People seen it online, or they saw the News 12 footage. And I've had officers come, people who do the garbage came, sanitation is like, listen, I'm bringing my car here because I like the story.
You said one of Damon's coworkers from Valhalla
Yes.
came through.
Yeah. Matter of fact, there's like 2 or 3 people from Valhalla came through. Police officers. I've been embraced by people that I wouldn't have ordinarily thought would have embraced
Absolutely.
me, because I thought that they would have condemned me. But hey, I was proven.
Well,
Liano
you've made
Johnny,
quite
great
an
guy.
impression, because Liano
Monsanto.
Monsanto just gave you a shout out.
Johnny,
basically,
great
yeah,
guy.
great guy.
Keith
So
Nixon says what's up.
Hey, all right. Deanna.
AJ, I'm out of here.
Okay, Lorraine is leaving us.
I got an hour and a half drive and plus 2 hours to cook my dinner. So I'm gonna just leave early, and Shanice, come sit here, honey.
We're holding it down for you, Lorraine.
So Damon, Damon's trying to call in. Damon, please call back. I didn't see it till after
Okay.
I missed
So,
the
yeah,
call.
shopping for
So
you.
try to call back in. Try to call back in,
A
Damon.
little bit of purple.
And once again,
Nice meeting you.
congratulations.
Nice meeting you too.
Congratulations to Lorraine.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Lorraine.
That's an applause for your exit.
all right, see you later.
Yo, I got the key to the city.
Yeah, I wanted to really do that because I, more than anybody, heard how distraught she was, and it, you know, being missing, and she really, what it meant to her. So I'm glad that I was able to, and instrumental to being able to get a new one and present it back to her. So that makes me feel good. Oh, there you go. You on video.
Yeah, what's up?
Hold on, we gotta put
Where
you.
is he?
Go get.
Hold on 1 second.
She gotta put you on the screen, on the other screen.
As soon as I hear Damon, I just start to smile. He just has a way of making you start to smile, right?
What is up?
She doesn't like the camera.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what's up, D?
You can keep on talking.
Yo, what's happening?
There you go.
Ain't nothing, man. Ain't nothing.
Yo, this is the new.
All right. So
Radio.
there we go. Damon K. Jones is on the screen officially now.
Mr. Jones.
You got
DK, there you go, D.
You on screen.
Yo,
Everybody see you.
I don't know. I can't see that.
We can see you. You all up in the screen like this. Hold on. You like this.
Just don't pick your nose.
He keep moving away from the camera though. Yeah. So we got Damon. So this is something we was trying to work out. So Damon's gonna be when he can't be in the studio, he gonna come on via video. So we finally got that set up. So I'm not sure what he's doing right now.
Yeah, don't go in the stash, man.
No,
Not in front of us.
He had to
Oh,
go
he went to get his glasses.
He had to get the. He had to get the glasses. There you go.
Not that. You on TV.
I forgot I'm on TV.
No improv.
He had to
There you
get the glasses. He didn't want to be seen without the glasses. Go ahead. I could barely hear you.
I gotta get up, man.
Oh, there you go. So what have you been up to? I see you listened to the last part of the show. You wasn't. We gave Lorraine her.
I had to leave, man. I had to figure out how to call in. Because Cruz from town, and I said, damn, I'm going to try to make this happen, man.
Yeah, because Erica came in here and she said, okay, let me know when Damon comes on. I'm hearing a little feedback. Let me know when Damon comes on so I can put him on the screen. So.
Oh, okay. So you learn how to do it?
Yeah. Oh, so Damon, they made an announcement that we are all being honored. Would you like to say it again for him
Yes,
one more
why
time?
don't you say it again?
So I don't have a problem repeating excellence. So Damon, what's up? I missed you. I haven't seen you in a while, so I'm going to take
the next tap.
So we are honoring Black people before politics in Black Westchester on February 22nd at the Winter Ball at the Eastwood Manor. And you guys are going to be one of our many honorees. You are the first to have been notified. So we're so excited. First. Johnny was the second. So you got the first notice. And the entire Black Westchester family. We're so excited to have you guys this year.
That's an honor. That's definitely an honor. Thank you. You know,
it's a black tie affair. We got to come in some tuxedos.
Also, I want to put this out there that you have been selected as one of our 10 best dressed men in Westchester. So in June, you and Andre will be going at it hard because he.
Don't worry, I'm coming. I'm coming there with my velvet tuxedo.
It's gonna be hard for Dre to beat that, huh?
He has one too.
Velvet tuxedo.
He got a velvet something, yeah.
Word.
Yeah, so
Because white person was like, "Is that velvet?"
We got some surprise guest men, so we got some of the best guys in their suits. Will be coming hard, so we get some opportunities to flash. But we're excited again.
Thank you very much. You know, doing this is not easy. You know, as you can tell, but it's worth it. You know, it's something that people need in Westchester County. You know, so we try to do our best and give people the information so they can make correct choices. You know, on what's going on in Westchester County. You know, and it's always a great feeling to be honored by people that gives us more energy to do what we do. You know, because there's a lot of haters out there.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of haters out there that don't want you to succeed for whatever reason. You know, they have. You know, but we keep moving on, man, and God has been good through a lot of the struggles. You know, God has definitely been good. So it's definitely another honor to be recognized for the work. That we do, sweat and tears AJ puts in a month, to get the paper out. She should be commended and held up for that. It's definitely not easy, but we're gonna be there. We're gonna be there, and we're humbled by it. I'm humbled by it, and Bob and Lorraine and everybody else that supports Black Westchester, man. Because we're gonna keep on doing it. We ain't going nowhere. I know some people are upset about that. We ain't going nowhere.
You guys are becoming a trend, so you got a movement. So keep it going.
Exactly.
While I got your attention real quick, and I know you're going to be like, it's nothing new. The New York Times wrote an article yesterday, who will now police the police? And it said last month a video was released of 2 police officers in Elkhart, Indiana, repeatedly punching a handcuffed man in the face. It went on to say the mayor, the Elkhart mayor, Tim Neese, asked the Indiana State Police for a very thorough and far-reaching investigation into the police department, but the state police turned him down. So now he asked the Justice Department to help. His timing could hardly have been worse. Less than 3 weeks earlier, Jeff Sessions, who was then the Attorney General, had sharply limited the Justice Department's ability to use court order agreements to address abuses by local departments. It was one of the last actions before he stepped down. And I'm just bringing that, speak on that.
No, but it's up to the community to police the police. They work for us. They get paid by our tax dollars. And I don't understand. This has to be a black community because the black community is the only community that don't have a say in how they police their community. What happens in the black community don't happen in the Italian community. Definitely don't happen in the Jewish community. No other community, right? Irish community, any other communities, they don't have to, especially
maybe the Hispanic community a little bit too, but mostly the black and brown communities.
Well, the black and brown community. I mean, we always catch hell. Even up here, I had to check a cop. Who he's talking to. They think that they are not city workers. They're city workers. And I tell people all the time, like the whole issue with White Plains. Like I never understood. You had cops call Kenneth Chamberlain N-word. The mayor doesn't do anything. People get promoted, and then they vote Mayor Roach back in.
Right.
And then they complain. Like how can you complain and you put the mayor back in office? That's nothing to complain about. If you have a problem with the police commissioner, then you vote the damn mayor out because the police commissioner works at the will of the mayor. Except Mount Vernon, the mayor works at the will of the police commissioner. Right? So you have to understand that, man. They work for us. And people need to take control of the city, man. That's what real community police is about. It ain't the police telling the community what they're going to do, for the community. The community telling the police how they want their community police. So I think we need to really, the community needs to come together. But this whole thing of who's policing the police, it ain't going to change until the people decide that they're going to police themselves. And they're going to hold their police accountable. Until then, it's just going to be the same old, man. Because we keep on voting these same fools in that don't do what they're supposed to do.
Are you hopeful, or do you think this so-called blue wave on the national level and now having control of all 3 things in New York State, do you think any of that's going to change any of as far as criminal justice reform or any of that stuff?
We'll see.
That's what I say too.
I mean, look, we'll see, man. I've been talking to different elected officials on state. We've been having monthly meetings with George Lattimore, with all the different police commissioners and criminal justice on the 7th. We meet with the commissioners from the Department of Correction. We met with the police commissioners. We met with the probation commissioners, and on the 7th, we meet with corrections. We have given them outline. Definitely for public safety and the police on what we need to change. They told us what they think is reality of what they can do and what they can't do.
They said they're hearing an echo with Damon. They're hearing an echo.
Damon, we can hear you fine here in the studio, but many of the listeners out Facebook have said that they're hearing an echo and encourage you to try to use a set of headphones if you have them.
Well,
Yo, D, hold on, man. Yo, listen, we got to work on this right here, man. You looking like Pugsy P right now. Yo. I'm glad we're doing this, though. We've had the ability for some time, but this is the first opportunity we're having.
I don't have a headphone, man.
Okay, well, listen, we're going to do the best we can.
Volume. Maybe you can mute your, you can.
You don't have your phone. We're not listening to you over your phone as well, are you? Are we?
Yeah. How's my Skype is on the phone. I don't even. I'm going to see if I can do it from my laptop.
The laptop, yeah.
Okay.
But how do you get the echo?
Okay. Okay. Oh, D is using this phone.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
That's why you can tell when the picture.
Maybe if he turns his.
When the videos shake that way, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, okay. I see.
You can tell the phone.
Okay, I was
held up this way. I always do. That's why I always do this way. That's why we take pictures that way too.
As D, sees if there's anything he can do to make his voice a little crisper. I just wanted to amplify.
Well, we're gonna rock with it today.
Yeah. No. We're gonna do what we do.
We're gonna work all that out another time.
Yeah. We'll have more time.
Yeah, I have to have my mic, man. One of those microphones. That's probably what it is.
All right, that's for next week's show.
We're gonna rock with it. We're gonna rock with it now. They get to see you for the first time in a long time, so.
I wanted to amplify Damon's point about the importance of civilians asserting the authority that we actually do have over the control of our police forces. A major problem that too many communities today confront is their seeming unwillingness to take some independent steps themselves to correct a lot of the problems that we're encountering, and instead are looking to outside forces to do so for us. Even though Americans have become accustomed to both federal and state governments intervening into the internal affairs of their communities, actually this is an inversion of how democratic politics is supposed to work in the United States. Localities have control over their communities and need to not only join committees of the kind that Damon just mentioned, where they're making substantive policy proposals, but people can also propose laws. You know, AJ, you remember I was in the Mount Vernon Library a couple of years ago during the summer doing some research on the civil rights movement in Mount Vernon, the history of the civil rights movement in Mount Vernon. I have to tell the audience members that one of the things that struck me about that time period was the degree to which ordinary citizens were in the Mount Vernon City Council chambers demanding that legislation be passed and actually submitting sample legislation. If people don't like how the police are acting, there's nothing to prohibit them from submitting sample legislation in their local city councils to address some of these problems. There are certain powers that the state has, that the federal government has with regard to the regulation of the police, but there's plenty of room left over for local communities to take the lead and to try to, push to get things back under control. So
I want to so Damon, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but Damon. Charles Stern said, I'd like to hear Damon's feedback on the Low HUD story about the food service problem at the Westchester County Jail.
I saw that. I saw that. And the inmates are boycotting on their.
Charles, what's your feedback?
Good one, Charles.
Hey, thanks, Charles, for asking that question. Let me tell you, the food sucks. It's straight up. I had a conversation, a text conversation with King Jenkins just the other day, and I told him the food sucks. The food has sucked for at least 10 years. Right? I do not eat out the cafeteria. Right? Because the food is nasty. The most I would buy, if I do, it'd be some French fries. Because you see that being made. I mean, the quality of the food is horrible. Can you turn the light up a little bit?
Yeah, because you just got dark a little bit.
Because I'm on video talking.
Ballin'. I'm on video.
The food. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. The food sucks, Charles. I mean, it's something that the community should really question what's going on up there, because this is the Aramark is a very big company.
Absolutely.
And they're being paid by our tax dollars. And they're making millions of dollars of commissary and all that off the inmates. So, I mean, I think the community should question it. I'm kind of glad that it came out. Now, it also been, like the article, Commissioner Pride says, well, the union has no complaint. Well, I challenged them to go back in the union minute. You know, I've been there 28 years. Probably once every year, there is an official complaint, you know, in the union minutes about the food. You know, so especially when they privatized and went to Aramark maybe about 96 in the late 90s, because it used to be run by the county. But like we all know how they do privatization, it's easier for them to privatize out, you know, sections and departments, you know, just because it's just easier. It costs less money. It's less overhead. And when Aramark came in, the food was kind of decent when they first came in.
That's
but
because
then
they wanted the job. They wanted their account.
well, it's certain people that they had there.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's certain people that they still had a left. And when they first came in, they still had like a leftover of people that actually worked for the county, you know, because they let the county people, you know, keep their jobs. But once those people left, you know, and then, I mean, they started bringing in people, the quality of everything went down. So, you know, even one of the guys that ran it, you know, he basically told one of the officers that he didn't really give a damn about, you know, how he was eating. So people don't eat. So people are not eating the food. You know, officers are not eating. You know.
Now the inmates ain't, some inmates ain't eating now, from what I heard.
Yeah, well, that's what the report is about. You know, I'm not going to touch on that, you know, publicly, but I could actually say, you know, I'm not eating that shit, right?
And that's in all facilities, though, because, I mean, Johnny could probably speak to that, too. I don't know, but I visit some guys up at Rikers, and it's a complaint all over. Is it because, I mean, they wouldn't want to accommodate people there to make it pleasure? I mean, what is the reason for that?
Cutting corners, saving money.
They do it.
It's saving money because you got to understand, like when you privatize, when the government privatizes a department, right? So here's how it works. So they go for the lowest bidder all the time, right? So a company comes in and they say, I could do that for 5 years, and they low bid. So that money that they get, let's say they get $5 million for 5 years to run a department. So out of that $5 million, they got to buy the supplies, they got to employ the people, they got to pay their benefits, they got to run it. So so in order to make money, you have to have as less overhead as you can get out of that $5 million. So technically you're bidding $5 million, but you're only running that shit for 5 years with $3 million. So you're gonna make $2 million off the deal.
Right.
So that's how it works. So it's always, you know, with government, it's always the lowest. Well, allegedly, it should be the lowest bidder, because that, you know, but then you got people that, you know, violate the bid process. And that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, we've covered stuff like that before.
Right, but so that's what you get. You know, they've been having problems with that. They've been having problems with the medical service, because that's the same way. It's privatized out to the lowest bidder. You know, and I know that there's been, you know, you could talk to Tasha about it. You could talk to Jared Rice, who represented some inmates up there. There's been talks about, you know, starting a petition to get rid of the medical service, because there's been some deaths. There's been some deaths up at the county jail. I mean, that's been reported. I'm not saying nothing new, you know. Right. So you know, and that's going to be discussed. You know, it's all going to be discussed. But you know, the community needs to be informed. And I think Charles asked a great question. And Charles, I feel more people should talk about it. Charles should talk about it on his red and blue. Like, are people getting the actual services when they privatize departments, governmental departments?
Real quick, I just want to while I have you on, and I want Bob to speak on this and anybody else. So I sent y'all an email. Charles brought the question to me and had me on his show about the new proposed bill from Senator Kevin Parker. That's his name.
Yes.
And where they're to now, if this bill was to pass, anybody buying a gun will be required to turn over their password for their social media so they can do a 3-year search through your social media and your search engines as a background check for you to get a gun. And I know Bob, actually I sent him the actual proposal, the proposed bill, and he read it in detail. And we talked about it privately, but I just wondered if you had a couple of words on that, Damon.
It's stupid. I think unfortunately, when we deal with black politicians, they do things just to stay in the news, right? Just to stay in the news. Eric had told me, I mean, me and Eric go way back. I love him to death.
Yeah, Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. Yeah, they mentioned
right.
Yeah.
He had told me one day, he said, look, always try to be in the news every 3 months, right? And I did it, and guess what? It got me in the position that I am, and I should have just stayed quiet and stayed off the news, right? But at the end of the day, sometimes we've seen that politicians throw out legislation that they know is not going anywhere. But it's good to talk about, right? This is one of those good pieces of legislation to talk about. Ain't no damn way nobody's giving up their password to their social media. That's not happening. I mean, I'm not giving that up. It's none of their business, but there's other ways, and I'm working on a response, but there's other ways that people, they need to address. I mean, other organizations have made great recommendations in changing gun laws and background checks and that. And New York has some of the toughest gun laws, throughout the country. So I don't understand why they're going to go to the social media. Clearly, you can look at people's social media, and even if they're even if they have a private account, there is some things that are still posted that you could read. Their recent posts and stuff like that is up, even if they have a so-called private account. So I mean, to go that route is really crazy, and that's just more political stuff.
And before I let Bob address it, I just want to say, as the editor-in-chief, I personally I've used Facebook. When I'm for a story, when I'm doing something that I have to, find out more about the person, and you can go back without their password. I can go on your account and I can scroll back a year or so, and if I have the patience to actually do it, I can do that publicly. I don't need your password. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? And then they want your search engine history. I'm gonna tell you, if you go through my search engine history, you find for 3 years. For real, like you might find all kinds of stuff. You be like, hey, this guy here. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I wasn't. I'm not saying that. And I also wanted to say, so I went when Charles sent me the link. I went and I looked it up, and I watched like 3-4 different news coverage of it. News 12, Long Island. So they had one of the young white kids who was a survivor from Parkland School where they had the shooting, and he said that there were indicators on that guy's social media, but the next sentence, what he said, was what impacted me. They had called the FBI and the local police 38 times about this guy and stuff that was on the social media, and they didn't do anything. So you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't like that. It was caught off guard. There was several calls from several people calling in about this guy before that got to that point, and they didn't do nothing for whatever the reason. Whatever the reason they didn't do it, they didn't do anything. So I mean, to quote Reggie Lafayette, that he was talking about something else totally different. Mm-hmm. But the theme of what he said, sometimes we come up with these things to make more laws and put more laws in the book. We need to utilize the ones that we have to the fullest. Like, we're not utilizing them laws that we do have. So you start putting more and more and more. Like the answer's not always putting more laws on the book. You know what I'm saying? Maybe taking some of them, making others we have a little better. You know what I'm saying? But you know, when you start putting more and more and more, you know, I don't think that's always the answer. But Bob, I know you have a different you have a perspective on it, so I want you to speak on it.
So yes, so for one, I want to commend both Senator Parker and I guess Eric Adams,
Brooklyn Borough President
Eric Adams, for taking the initiative to offer up some proposed legislation for the public to think about. Before I even, you know, offer any substantive remarks, I do want to point out that this is in fact what the process is about. It isn't merely our elected representatives proposing legislation without getting any feedback from the public, but the reason that you have these kind of discussions is to improve various provisions of the bill. So I take the position that we don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I know that, you know, we have had an opportunity to talk about it, and you know, we've each staked out different positions, but my contention is that this is a bill that needs to be improved, and that I do agree with both you and Damon. The particular clause that would give our law enforcement authorities who are doing background checks the ability to use someone's password and to check their account for 3 years, it just seems unconstitutional, I would think, on its face. I could well imagine many people across New York State, maybe some of us in this room, filing a lawsuit to prohibit this because it would just be too intrusive. Having said that, I don't think that we should discount the use of social media profiles as a way of assessing the risk that a person poses to public safety. I know that, AJ, when you and I had our discussion, one of your concerns in particular was the way in which much national security legislation has historically been used against black people.
Right.
And I think that is a legitimate concern, but what I also want to note is that the reason for reviewing the social media profiles is to try to seek for clues of people who harbor racial and other kind of biases that has led to a rise in right-wing attacks that are largely targeting communities of color. I mean, I think we have a lot more at stake here than just simply the right to bear arms, but also the right to be free from being shot by a firearm. And those are competing those are competing interests that we have. And so my position is for Senator Parker and Eric Adams to go back to the drawing board and to eliminate the provision that would call for people surrendering their passwords. And instead, perhaps you could do it through other ways. I know right now corporations make de facto use of people's social media profiles when assessing their application for employment. That's a possibility. So whatever's readily available. Or we could require that the social media accounts, companies themselves, sort of submit a social media profile electronically to law enforcement agents to review. Whatever was on your page for the last 3 years, they have a copy of it. You are required to submit it. I think that's far less intrusive. We do look into the details of people's lives when they are asking for far less grave kind of rights than the use of, we people got to give up a lot. If you start a nonprofit, it's
for credit, you have to give up everything.
It's a lot of details, so I don't think
a house, you signing your life away.
This is even more.
So I think there's a way to balance those concerns.
It's the password thing that got, again, you can get a lot of that information without having my password. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
you can
right.
see, and it was
Yo, D, you looking like Big Blue right now, man. We can't see.
And also there was another a white law enforcement officer. He had a fancy title, I can't remember, but he said in his experience and having investigated a lot of people who have had stuff on Facebook, he said a lot of them weren't warranted because anybody can sit behind a computer and just type up some crazy stuff, but the fact of them actually doing anything, and his experience from all the people that he had investigated because of those, very few of them are actually dangerous.
Yeah, because it's a freedom of speech issue, and again, creativity and a lot, but it still sends up red flags. And so, like someone mentioned, I guess in a comment, people are going to start to delete their accounts and remove things that they know are red flags. And so, but again, whenever you put a law in place, people start to figure out how to
go around it. Right.
So,
and the other thing was, not all of those major killings were from people who brought those guns legally. Some people, there was just guns in the house and they got access to it. Some people brought the guns illegally. So this is to stop them from legally buying the gun. That does not keep the guns out of the hands of criminals. People that want guns, they're not legally buying them anyway.
Right.
If they have if ill intent. So that's not going to stop those type of situations because they're still going to buy. And this is a New York State thing. And most of them people get their guns from down south anyway and then bring them back up here.
And for the moment, it's not even that the person's carrying it. Sometimes it's the incident. It's literally the incident that triggers getting the gun and having it. So it's not they're not possessing the gun.
Right.
The instance.
Well, the last time when they passed the gun legislation, myself, Darren Green, First Deputy Commissioner Louis Molina, Anthony Miranda, we was up in Albany when they passed the last gun legislation. What was key to the fact that it's crazy that they go to background check when the majority of New York State guns come from out of state.
That's what I just said, right?
Right, they come from out of state. So that goes into a federal, when you start crossing state lines, you're dealing with federal issues. The penalty, it's almost like the Rockefeller gun laws, right? That they will give less time for cocaine and more time for crack, right? But you can't have crack without the cocaine. So it's the same thing. These young brothers and sisters on the street that have illegal weapons are getting these harsh gun penalties. But the gun trafficker, the penalties haven't changed.
And that's definitely going to open the doors to imprison a lot more.
Exactly.
And that's where
Hold on. That is an inference that cannot be drawn from this legislation.
Oh, it can't because it was in the conversation.
No. The only penalty that this legislation proposes for anyone who has material that is on their website that is deemed to indicate that they are a threat to public safety is that they will not get a gun license.
Oh, no, Bob,
and so we should not extend beyond that.
No, I'm not talking about this legislation. I'm talking about when we were discussing the last New York State gun law legislation.
Which happened after Sandy Hook, right?
Right, which happened after that's the Connecticut Sandy Hook. Yeah. Right. Which happened after Sandy Hook. The question, I'm going back. I'm not talking about this specific legislation because I'm coming up to this legislation because we understand that there were flaws in it, right? And you have Senator Parker and you have Senator Eric Adams Brooklyn Borough President right. Eric Adams, who are over majority black districts, should speak on more of the gun trafficking laws, right? And the lesser penalties that gun traffickers get than the local people that's in the states. Because if we're talking New York, and they are New York elected officials, we know for a fact, unless it changed since the last time I sat at the table, that the majority of the legal guns in New York come from out of the state. So we have to push harder on penalties for the people that bring guns out of the state into New York, right? But we're talking social media. No, the legal guns. You're in New York, right? You're a New York elected official, right? You're not a congressperson or a senator that has to go down to Washington D.C. We're talking local issues. None of that is relevant. Social media is not relevant. In the gun issue in New York, it's the legal guns that's coming out of New York.
coming into
right? And correct me if I'm wrong. When was their last super mass murder in New York?
I don't recall. Well, there was a mass murder, a mass shooting up in Buffalo. There were about 5 people killed about a year ago, D.
Okay.
I mean, but your point is well taken. They are relatively rare in New York State.
Right. I mean, these are New York elected officials, making a national, on a national, which is nice, but there's still holes in our local legislation, in our state legislation, that need to be addressed. And they should be pushing, the federal government to look at these gun trafficking laws. And they should push, if you've been convicted of any type of domestic violence, because if someone's going in and shooting somebody.
We lost.
Oh, we lost.
You got to call back, D. You got to call back.
Can I say something while we're waiting for him to call back?
Yeah, yes, and caller, please hold. We have another caller. Go ahead.
All right. I've listened to what everybody said, and I look at it like this: who are the people that are going to be applying that they're going to take through this? Because, like we were saying, that there's not a bunch of mass shootings in New York. So who's going to be applying for these gun licenses that they're going to take through all this? And we already know that Facebook, Instagram, these places, these guys who own these places, they can give that information to the authorities upon request. People have already seen that our information has been given to authorities. So if they really want it, they can get it. They don't have to put us through this in order to say, well, listen, we need to see this for X amount of years. If you want to get the information, there's a way for you to get the information. I think that that's just a play so that the public can see that they are attempting to do something, and that's a way for the person or persons to kind of big themselves up as if this is my mission against guns. I don't think that's cool.
And my concern is what they're going to do with that. I mean, because a lot of laws that are on the books have been applied to us differently. You know what I'm saying? How is that? That's where I was going. I don't have the answer because Bob was asking me what is the solution. I don't have the solution. I just got this the legislation. I just looked at it and I just voiced my concerns. I do think that they do need to do something stricter in the whole process, but I think they're missing the mark with this one. And I think they need to make some revisions or something. This, first off, real talk, this will never pass. That's one.
In its current form.
In its current form. This is not passing in New York State. This is not going to pass. But I still wanted to bring it up. Just educating the people and what's going on. I wanted to have this discussion. So that's why I brought it up. To hear the different points of view. Thank you very much. Damon, I don't know what you're doing.
Word, D, you got all kind of technical.
Can I voice something that I was from earlier?
Absolutely.
Okay. I wanted to speak about the prison, the jailhouse food.
Okay, go ahead.
They do that because they can. Once they obtain the contract for X amount of years, they basically got carte blanche. They're going to do what they're going to do to make their money. And they're going to cut costs however they can. Now, I believe that in order to hold them to a higher standard, eliminate them from the bid at the next time.
Exactly.
So that's how you show them, you prove to them, listen, you can get this bid and you can play games with it, but when it's time to get your money again, we taking you off the board. So you have to take care of business. When you get this business, take care of it. And if your bid is not high enough to take care of your bottom line and give you profit, then raise your bid, because you're going to have to raise your standards.
I want to respond and say that while I agree, companies that do not provide proper services should be penalized. My fear is that they're not going to ever provide a proper standard of food, or for that matter, any other service.
Because it doesn't
because they want to make money, and we see this kind of in the cafeteria services in public schools.
Right, not just jail. Yeah.
Where kids are going to school, and you know, and you would, many of the like stereotypes. One reason why they serve crappy food in jails is because they feel like people who are incarcerated are moral degenerates, and they're going to punish them with the full weight of law. We're not giving anyone any kind of niceties or pleasantries, no amenities, anything. We're going to treat inmates like crap.
But you know what?
So it's acceptable to the public.
But the problem is, there used to be a difference between the inmate food and the officers' food. And from what I'm being told from officers, they're getting the same stuff, and they're not feeling it. That's who started. The officers started the complaint.
Right.
But
That
also,
they wasn't going to eat because the food is the quality of the food.
yeah, what Damon says is important too. That it's all about the bottom line and the money, because these inmates are also, even though they're in there, they're actually bringing in income from people that support them from outside.
Right.
So you have people that are supplying them money to feed them, to get things. They're bartering in there. They're getting ramen noodle money. They're paying for phone usage. They're literally running a business inside there. So of course, if they don't like the food, they're going to buy the food that's accessible in commissary, right?
And they run the commissary.
And commissary makes a lot of money. They make thousands of dollars a day in commissary, in prison systems.
Overinflated prices for commissary.
For ramen noodles.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And
We
so
serve you crappy food so we can make it inevitable for you to go
buy and spend in the place that's.
I wanted to add one other thing, D, because when me and AJ, there's something occurred to me when me and AJ were having this discussion. I think it is a real public safety threat. I was incarcerated, as it turns out, up in Westchester County many, many years ago, but it's part of my story. I did want everyone to know I do speak with some familiarity. My impression has been, at least in Westchester County, that inmates have always prepared food for the facility. And as I reflected on it, there are many who would say that this is a real public safety risk, that you cannot have the people that you are guarding preparing the food that you're going to eat, because it's far-fetched, I know, but worst case scenario is you have some sort of basically like people are poisoned, or you hear people something in the food. It's not a good practice
Unless they eat it first.
and for that reason alone, members of the correctional staff should not be consuming food prepared by inmates. And I say this not because I actually believe that most inmates pose a risk, but we do know that there are some inmates who are who have beef with the guards, and who might want to find a way to strike back. And if they're, if we get into disorder in the country, and like there's a big public safety issue, real unrest, something like that could seriously happen.
But I feel like that. I don't want to say it's a stretch, but it's the least of the concerns of the guards in there who are managing every aspect of their life. It's like trying to break out of Attica if you're doing something like that. And you have inmates who are trying to break out as well. I think, and you might be able to speak to this, but I think that the reality is everything that's a job when you're incarcerated, they use the inmates for. If it's garbage cleaning, if it's food, and so the least of it is cooking. And I'm sure that's being monitored. I'm sure they're having them eat the same food they're cooking. So I'm sure there's ways, but they're looked at as cheap employment, cheap labor, and everything that these inmates are doing is a monetary, and it's big pockets being fed. And I very much doubt, just like the numbers are increasing daily, and we know it, we argue, we sit at tables, we discuss this, but it's not going to change tomorrow. Absolutely. And so the amount of work that has to be done to affect the food is probably the smallest thing right now.
Right.
So it's in the news today, and next week they're going to go back to eating this food. And so the question always is, how do we begin making a small dent in that process? How do we begin doing that? Do we attack Aramark directly? What do we do from the outside to make that change happen?
And Damon, I'm going to ask you to say your last words too, because we're coming to the end of the week.
Yeah, you attack the elected officials. I mean, they're the ones that vote on these contracts, right? It has to go through a process, has to go through the Board of Estimates. It has to go back to the Board of the Legislators, and they have to vote to approve these contracts. Everything falls with our elected officials, and calling our elected officials accountable, so everyone can get proper services. So, and I want to make real quick, we need to address the issue of them serving these romaine noodles. These romaine noodles are killing black people, right? Because it's high in sodium. So if you have someone that's in jail for a year, 2, 3, 4, and they're eating these romaine noodles, they come out, they have to go where? Straight to the doctor, right? Because they have high blood pressure, hypertension, high cholesterol from eating these romaine noodles for years, because that is the choice that you get when you're being served bad food, right? So you eat the commissary. So I mean, and this is the sad thing. So we have to talk about that, man. This article, like, black community should be in an uproar. Black preachers and everybody should be in an uproar right now because of this goddamn article. And watch, ain't nobody gonna say nothing, right? Nobody's gonna say anything. They're just gonna continue just their everyday lives, being in the matrix, and black community is still gonna be used by these big corporations. No doubt. So it's gonna be sad.
No doubt. Last words, 30 seconds or less. Anything you gotta say, Damon?
Great to be back, man. Trying to do some video stuff. Next time I have to sit at the chair, man.
Yeah.
Yo,
no doubt.
You real relaxed for your first day back on the job, D.
I guess. Any last words?
I just would like to put out there that every time, maybe this is something we could think about in the community, the calls to action. So after every major issue, maybe we could plug in a call to action that everyone can really just hit up and see what they can do to affect the change in any of your issues that we discuss.
Absolutely.
In the community, you got to erase fear. If you're scared of the police, you're not going to police the police.
Exactly.
Bob.
Well, it was a wonderful conversation, and I hope we continue.
Absolutely.
Keep it going. And I do want to say to both Nestor and Johnny that it was a real pleasure having you guys on set with us. And so we welcome, y'all to come back, your presence.
Any last words, Shanice?
Hi, Damon.
Hey, what's up, sis? What's happening, girl?
How are you?
So I want to thank all our guests for coming. Happy to be able to present Lorraine her key. She's gone already. I want to thank Nesta and Johnny and Shanice for coming, and we appreciate and are honored by the being honored and recognized. I greatly appreciate that. You don't understand that how much it means, because we get more critics than anything else. Everybody, you can't please everybody. We too black for some people and black enough for some other ones. So you know what I'm saying? I'm not radical enough for some, and I'm way too radical for a whole lot of people. So you know what I'm saying? So but just to be recognized or anything is a great honor, and I appreciate all the words that y'all said personally and collectively about my contribution to all of this. It means a lot, So I just wanted to put all that out there. Again, got about 48 hours if you want to get an ad into the December issue. Get at us, blackwest@gmail.com. I will share the information for the Westchester Community College thing. I'll make sure I share all that, and we'll blast all that out. And when I get the information for yours, we'll blast all that out too, so everybody will know when it is and all that good stuff. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. Thank you for everybody who left comments. Wasn't able to get to all of you, but we greatly appreciate all of y'all. Y'all could be doing anything else, but y'all decide to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. With that said, that's about it. We're coming to the close of the show. Like I said, we're coming up on that 200 episode. We got to figure out what we're going to do to celebrate. I will definitely announce it, at least 5 shows in advance. We're probably at 193 now or something like that. So I will get that out. Bob, why are you looking at me like that? You just keep looking at me.
You want me to tell why? Because I want to tell D. I know you and Dre think y'all going to spring your velvet tuxedos out on me and AJ. We getting ready for y'all. I want y'all to know we getting ready for y'all.
Well,
everybody get ready.
Getting ready for y'all.
We getting ready.
Y'all, it's gonna be a stress for me to get me in the tuxedo, but
we
I'm
doing
gonna
it.
I'm gonna try.
We might have to take him shopping.
I'm gonna work on it though. I'm gonna work on it. Charles said, "Great show. Love the Skype feed. Worked out great. Sounded great." And then he did say, Damien, I can hear you much better. With all that, thank you, everybody. Tune in. All the topics we talked about, you can always catch all of that on blackwestchester.com. If you miss any issues of the newspaper, you can catch it on blackwestchester.com. If you miss any episodes of the show, you can catch it on blackwestchester.com. You like what you see, feel free. Hit us up. Donate. Keep us going. Feel free.
Advertise.
Kick something in and yes, advertise. That's how we keep it free for the people. So with that said, like I said, you could have been doing anything else, but you decided to ride with us, and we greatly appreciate it. This is Black Westchester presents the People Before Politics radio show every Sunday 6 to 8 on INTHEMIXXRADIO.com, giving you real talk for the community since 2014. Until next week, peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it.